Hey guys, this is Henry. Welcome to today's presentation. We hope everyone is ready for our interesting presentation. The topic we are going to cover is language socialization during study abroad, particularly focused on social interaction outside the classroom. Let's look at the outline of today's presentation. It contains 6 sections. Before we start, one thing you need to know. This article is a book chapter that aims to enrich our understandings of language learning outside the classroom during the study abroad period. Okay, starting with the background information. Due to the globalization, American universities promoted some initiatives like study abroad program in order to improve students' skills. Educators believe that studying a language in the target language speaking country can foster target language learning because we have more opportunities to practice the target language outside the classroom. But study abroad doesn't guarantee that the language proficiency will definitely be improved because previous studies suggested that a number of factors like target language proficiency and identities could affect the language learning outcomes. Previous studies also examined that social interaction could be either quantitative or qualitative variables. In terms of quantitative, some studies identified the amount of time of language exposure as variables. From a qualitative perspective, researchers examined the intensity and durability of language interaction as variables. Language socialization theory is very important in this presentation. So, what is it? I hope everybody still more or less remember the theory from last seminar. Language socialization theory is through participation of everyday social interaction. Newcomers to a community are socialized through language into the culture and linguistic practices of the community. To be easier to understand, most of us are not original one of the Australian communities, but we could gradually be socialized into this particular context by using English to join daily social interaction. The phenomenon of language socialization doesn't have to happen in a very broad context. It could also happen in smaller ones. For example, change a job. We are going to jump from our original work community into a new one. Also, language socialization could be explicit or implicit. In terms of explicit, locals may directly tell what they would say in the particular context or tell the outsiders their speech is not appropriate in certain situation. However, a great deal of language socialization happened implicitly. For example, we observe how locals interact with service providers in the coffee shop or etc. It doesn't mean that language socialization is a one-way phenomenon. It is very dynamic. The outsider's behaviors could also modify the social norms. Let's narrow down language socialization in the study abroad context. It is very interesting because it's most of us are currently experiencing. We do have a number of opportunities to participate in local communities. We could join a university club, a sports team, or live in a homestay. Researchers believed that host family from the homestay is the most important community when we study abroad. We hope everybody had one before. Of course, it has some advantages and disadvantages. More details could refer to the handout. Therefore, in order to investigate how overseas students experienced about interacting with local people, the aim of the study is to analyze 6 American university students' experience.
Hi, this is Xijie. I'm going to talk about the methodology. First, participants. In this study, 7 American university students participated, including 5 female plus 2 male students. They were all native English speakers majoring or minoring in Spanish in the university. These students studied at the same Spanish Learning Institute in Toledo for one academic semester. 6 of them lived with host families and took part in a language partner exchange program. And for Greta, she lived in the dormitory and only took part in service encounter interactions. We should also notice that Megan was the only student who were able to join the local Spanish community and to meet more Spaniards during that time with the help of her age peers. Okay, let's move on to the procedure. Each student would record conversations with different people in different weeks, just as the slide shows. They need to record 4 conversations with host families and 4 with their age peers, and at least 15 interactions with different service providers in the local shops, for example, in the cafe, post office. Then students wrote a weekly journal about their social interactions and what they had learned from those interactions. At the end of this study, students and host family member will be interviewed to answer questions about learning and social interaction. Data collection. The data was collected from interaction recordings, weekly journals, final interviews, and field notes. Data analysis. The data was analyzed in 2 main parts, including talk data and supplementary data. The researcher transcribed and analyzed all of the interactions in terms of how language will change in the interaction, how local people use language with students, what do students believe of Spanish learning, and the roles in the expert-novice relationship. Also, the researcher listed some examples of socialization in the Spanish context. Students' journals and final interview were supplementary data to gain the insights of language learning during study abroad. Okay, in the next slides, my partner will introduce the results of the study. Conclusion and implication. Alright, to sum up, outcomes of abroad language learning will differ from student to student. Based on the language socialization theory, out-of-class interactions is very important for language learning because students can observe local people's speech act. Therefore, they can easily be socialized into the target culture and build social relationships. However, in most cases, students may not receive explicit explanations of some particular speech act, so they might feel confused about why they should speak like that. Therefore, study abroad programs should help students have deeper and better understanding about the target culture. Let's move on to the critique. There are some advantages in the study. Firstly, the study was conducted in a natural setting. For example, the interaction happened in service encounters is unpredictable, so we could get authentic data. Secondly, as you may remember, there are different types of data collection in the study, such as recording, journals, and field notes. These methods ensure we could get reliable and elaborate data. Okay, another great point of this article is to extend the research area because most current studies of language socialization focus on Asian countries' context, like Japan, China, and Korean. However, this article extends to the European context. Alright, we also find some disadvantages.